Well, this is big news, and it's something that both of you have been very interested in for a long time. But I just wonder, I mean, you all have very few things that you can really throw your weight behind, that you can really say that this is important to us, this is what we want to be doing. Jamie, why this subject matter? Why is this such an important move?
Yeah, so, America, the largest companies in America are owned by literally 100 million people, including veterans, retirees, teachers. We all feel a tremendous obligation to deliver in the long run, to build great companies, and that therefore corporate governance is important. And one important step, and I actually really learned this by listening to Warren, is some of the ills and problems of people making short-term forecasts, particularly quarterly earnings forecasts. Earnings forecasts, not transparency, not openness, not having quarterly reporting. And it can often put a company in a position where management, from the CEO down, feels obligated to deliver earnings and therefore may do things that they wouldn't otherwise have done. So if you have a good board, the board will say, if you have a great investment opportunity, and you say it's going to cost me another couple $100 million this quarter, someone like Warren would say, absolutely do it. That's good. That's future earnings. Don't hurt your company because you're trying to meet a short-term thing. So we've been pushing on it. Warren's been part of one of the person making a real thing. So we think it's just a good thing to give people an umbrella to move away from, and I'm hoping a bunch of companies drop it right away.
Warren, this is something you've been preaching about for a long time too. What's an example of where you've seen it gone wrong?
Well, I've seen when companies get where they're sort of living by so-called making the numbers, they do a lot of things that really are counter to the long-term interests of the business. And I've never seen a company whose performance has been improved by having some forecast out there by the CEO that we're going to earn X, because it's not only sending the wrong message and delivering the wrong results to the company and to the country, it's also teaching the people that work under him or her that quarterly performance is the end game. I tell our managers, just pretend you're going to own, this is the only business you and your family are going to own for 50 years, and you can't sell it, and you'll make the right decisions.
Have you seen this kind of play out the wrong way, either in the boards that you've sat in or the companies that you've owned, other friends that you've known?
Becky, I've been on 20 boards of publicly owned companies, not counting Berkshire's. I have seen managements that I really think well of personally. I'd be glad if they married my daughter or were named as executors of my will or moved in next door, but they get tempted by the predictions that have been made. Their ego gets involved, and when they find they can't make the numbers, sometimes they make up the numbers, and it's a very, very bad practice. And once it gets going, it feeds on itself, because if your investor relations department tells you, we put out you're going to earn $1.08, and you get this reputation for making your numbers or beating your numbers, you're going to do some very stupid things at some point, because business just doesn't work that way. For 53 years at Berkshire, I consider Berkshire an unfinished painting all the time, and the horizon really is infinity as far as I'm concerned.
Jamie, what does this mean from a real perspective? Are the companies in the Business Roundtable, I think there are 200 companies, are they going to not be issuing quarterly guidance at this point?
Yeah, so let me just comment on what Warren said. So first of all, remember, this goes down in a company. So there could be pressure at the divisional level, the sales level, that they should go do something different they might otherwise do. And very often, it's very easy for a CEO to change a short-term profit number by not doing marketing they should do, by not opening the branches they should open, or by selling more product at a cheaper price so they can hit a revenue number, something like that. So it just creates the disincentives. And like Warren said, it feeds in itself. If you start meeting that, and you have to meet it, and you have to meet it, years later, you find that it corrupted. And so I think it's a good thing that people are really careful about how and when they use earnings guidance in particular. And so the BRT, I think of the BRT, something like 60% of our members do annual earnings guidance. Mm-hmm. I would personally eliminate that too one day. But this is the first step to try to get people to focus in the long run. I should also say, by the way, most of these companies, they're pretty good at focusing in the long run too, in terms of R&D and capital expenditures. This is just one case that we think we should go another step to improve the governance of corporate America.
Well, Jamie, let me ask you, you mentioned that it's up to a CEO's discretion to be able to do this. If you wanted to, how could you change the numbers at JP Morgan to try and do this if you were more focused on short term?
Well, you can change interest rate exposure by making a phone call and do some swaps and add hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue. You can cut marketing. A lot of people cut marketing because that's one of the easiest things to cut.
Right.
You can reduce, you can pay people less. I said it's like airplane maintenance. You can reduce airplane maintenance, but that's a really bad idea. Yeah. And so, people shouldn't be doing those
Tell
things.
me if you're doing that anyplace.
Well, that's kind of what it is. You're doing, you don't have to build a new data center. Well, you should build the new systems you need. You should do the R&D you need and explain it to your shareholders and your board. And of course, some of the CEOs will say it's the buy side. The sell side that we put pressure. But I'm trying to say to people, be free to drop it. You'll be okay. Companies have done it. The good, smart shareholders don't mind. You have the best shareholder in the world sitting right on this TV telling you it's better. He prefers it. He does want to hear how you're doing, how you're thinking about the future, what you're investing in. But he knows that quarterly earnings, they're a function of the weather, commodity prices, volumes, competitor pricing, and you don't really control that as a CEO. Sometimes you're just kind of like the cork in the ocean. But do the right thing anyway, and you're going to be fine in the long run.
Warren, what do you want to hear from companies in terms of guidance and what they tell you and what they don't, so that it doesn't put those artificial constraints on them?
Well, I want to hear from them what I would hear if I were their sole partner in a business, and they were the operating partner, and I was a person that did not spend day to day at the business, but had a significant part of my net worth in it, and they would tell me periodically the things that were important to me, and they would tell me the upside possibilities, the downside possibilities, where they were investing ahead of time, and things that might pay off in a few years, and I would want them to run it like we were going to be partners for 50 years, and neither one of us could sell, and keep me informed, and don't worry about what we earn today or in the next week. What's magic about a quarter? We're in businesses for a very long period of time, and we happen to be in the insurance business. And believe me, you can report any number you want in an insurance company for a while. So if you tell me I'm going to be shot unless I come up with earnings of X carried out to 8 decimal places in the next quarter, believe me, I can come up with that, and the auditors will stamp it as okay.